Yeah, maybe. Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to call to order a meeting of the Board of Directors of the Syracuse Industrial Development Agency. And our first order of business will be a roll call by the board members. I am Kathy Murphy.
Ricky Brown. Dirk Sonneborn.
Thank you all very much. Proof of notice was properly served for this meeting, and the minutes of our previous Board of Directors meeting held on February 25th were included in your package. If there are no comments or changes, I would entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Ken. Is there a second? Second, Ricky. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstention. Motion carries. The committee report, the Audit and Finance Committee met last week for the specific purpose of reviewing our draft audited financials for 2024. Those financials were thoroughly reviewed and presented by Mike Lasan and Brianna Lane from Grossman, who are also here with us this morning. And there was a positive recommendation for approval of the audited financials for this board. That brings us to our first order of new business, which is a review of our final audited financial statements by Mike and Brianna. Michael.
Kathy, in your packages is on the right-hand side is the presentation. We updated it slightly since last week for a couple of those minor changes we talked about. But I'll jump in and just say the audit went extremely well. As we mentioned last week, Friday, we have an unmodified clean audit opinion, so that means no issues, no concerns. We also have what we call an investment report, an internal control report, all what I'll call clean with no modifications. That's all we have to be issuing at the end. So the audit went extremely well. Your team was well prepared, preparing everything we needed to do. If you jump into slide 4, this is one of the areas we made a slight change. If you recall, the commitments and agreements, we added a new item in there that was commitment. So now we're up to about $1.6 million of commitments that's disclosed in your footnotes. If you recall, you have $4.2 million of cash available, less 1.6 of commitments, meaning you have about $3.4 million of kind of unrestricted cash to be used for future items that the SIDA deems necessary. So I'll jump right into slide 7 is the statement net position. One thing I did do is make the slides a little bit bigger than what you saw on Friday. But you can see the majority of your assets are all in cash and cash equivalents. As I said, I mentioned that less the commitments that are outstanding, you have about $3.4 million available cash as of the end of the year. Your other liabilities are standard liabilities, accounts payable, things of that nature. If you look down at the next slide, slide 8, that's your you have financing fees, which are traditionally your fees collected for projects. So we take a look at that and audit that. The $946,000. That's really the primary driver of all your revenues. Expenses, for projects spent, as you saw your commitments, certain things are spent. That's about the $1.2 million during the course of the year, showing that you have about $4.4 million of what we call net position at the end of the year. Slide 9 and 10 describe some of those fees that we talked about last week at Friday, so nothing's changed there. And then the last slide just talks about the investment policy compliance, that you're compliant with that, and we issue a report on that and internal controls. Like I said, myself and Brianna, your team did a great job working with us, getting through everything. And we'll work on getting the final reports over to you later today, because they have to get submitted to the state by the end of by March 31st. All right.
Great.
Any questions?
Thank you, Mike. Questions? Let me thank the staff for doing a great job again. That's what they do every year with the audit and with the data that's required. It's not the easiest process, so it's always great to hear that they did a great job, and it was an easy process for you. So thank you all very much for that. Any questions, comments, anything? Everybody's good. Great. Is there a motion to approve the audited financial statements?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Ricky. Is there a second? Second, Ken. Last call for comments? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Right. Michael, thank you. Brianna, thank you very much.
Thanks, Brianna.
Have a great rest of the day. Before we start the rest of our new business agenda, I would ask everybody in the audience to please sign in the sign-in sheet in the back so that we have a record of who's attending our meeting. Thank you very much. First item on the agenda, Eric, 400 South Salina.
Right. Good morning, everyone. So the request that we have before us right now for discussion is a waiver of consideration of a request for the waiver of the local access policy. This is related to the city center project at 400 South Salina Street. This project, or this element of the project, involves tenant build-out for a new commercial tenant, UBS Financial Services. The applicant or the project sponsor did provide a letter. This is from Hanner Hoyt regarding the competitive bidding process that they undertook for the project. They did receive competitive bids for this build-out. However, none of the bids that were received were from within the local six-county labor area. This is related to some of the specifications and the requirements of the specific tenant that are proprietary, but we are joined by representatives here from Hanner Hoyt. So I will invite them up to be able to speak a little bit more to the nature of the request and the reason for the waiver access, the waiver of the local access policy. So if you could just start with your name and address, that'd be great.
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Nick DeCreasy. I'm a project manager with the Hanner Hoyt Corporation. I filed this waiver on behalf of Empire Office. So our project, we have a specified product is a demountable partition, which is a specialized product. Our construction documents provided 3 vendors for consideration, all of which were located outside of this immediate area. 2 were located in New York City, 1 was located in Maryland. We elected to work with one of the contractors from New York City. Their bid fit our project budget and was recommended by our client. So I'm asking if they may be able to have a waiver participating in this project with us alongside several local contractors.
Thank you, Nick. I just want to remind everybody, City Center is the old Sibley's. If you're trying to locate where this is, I assume this is a 2nd or 3rd floor build?
Correct. So they'll be going on the top floor next to Huntington Ingalls. I believe they're currently located on just one street over Warren Street. So they'll be migrating over to City Center towards the tail end of summer 2025.
Questions for Nick?
Do you know what it is that was so unique about the dividers, the partitions?
Yeah, so it's just a specialized architectural system labeled as a demountable partition on this project, very similar to a storefront system. However, it has different integration capabilities that make it more specialized than a traditional storefront system.
Sue?
There's no one in the 6 counties that provides this product?
Not of this specialized nature.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's it? No comments, no questions? Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you.
Sorry, how much money is involved?
Nick,
Sure. I'm sorry.
it's 123,000.
Correct. Yeah. So in the letter we received from the project sponsor, so 123,000, which is approximately 8% of the overall build-out cost for the project.
That's okay. Anything else? Questions from the board? No. We need a motion to approve the request for the waiver.
I would move that.
Move acceptance.
Second,
Made
Ricky.
by Dirk, second Ricky. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you. Next item is a waiver request also for the Chimes Building project.
Correct. All right.
Morning.
Good morning,
folks. Stephen Prietta, Hanner Hoyt. I'm also PM on the Chimes Building project, and we're requesting a waiver for applied coatings and upstate spray foam, which is actually a sister pair of companies.
So just for some additional context, and feel free to add to what I share. So the business that is being requested for the waiver is located in Herkimer County, so they're also outside of the 6-county area. It sounds like there has been, Hanner Hoy has worked with this particular vendor
Many,
in the
many times,
past.
yes.
Okay, and so then the other piece I would just add is there's two pieces to this, but the first contract amount is $109,240. So that's approximately 0.29, so 0.3% of the overall project build out. And then additionally, I think there's a sister company that has as well a contract for $200,300, and that is approximately, I think, 0.5% of the overall project.
That is correct,
build
sir.
out. So,
Yes.
So it's two waivers.
Yes, ma'am.
Two separate waivers are being requested for two separate services.
Yes.
Okay. Although they're companion services, if I read
Kind
the
of, yes,
letter
ma'am.
correctly.
Yeah.
What is applied coating? What is
Applied coatings, they have this, a fluid applied air barrier, which is a coating we apply to the exterior of the building to keep moisture from entering the structure. And the other company, which is spray foam, which is closed cell spray foam sprayed along the interior of the building to create an insulating layer.
Did you receive any bids from any local?
We really tried, and we could not get basically anything on the spray foam. We did get one other bidder from Onondaga County called Driscoll. They're out of Skinny Atlas Falls. They were over $400,000 higher on a contract I ended up ultimately buying for less than $300,000. There was a modification to the contract. In middle of design, the owners realized that the fluid applied air barrier on the interior of the building wasn't going to make sense. We had to switch to open cell spray foam insulation. This firm has the sister company of Upstate Spray Foam. We simply switched that scope over to that portion of the business.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? The attorney's recommending two waiver motions.
And there was two separate letters, so that
Right.
it explains in the correspondence to the fact that they're sister companies, but they are technically separate entities.
Correct,
And we're
sir,
separate
yes.
bidders on the project.
Yes.
So.
The first one, if we're going to do them separately, let's do Upstate Foam.
Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the upstate fund.
Motion made by Ricky to approve Upstate Foam's request, second by Ken. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you all very much. Next item would be the request for applied coating. Do I have that correct? I believe I do. That's the name, right? Applied coating for their request for a waiver. Is there a motion? Motion made by Ricky. Is there a second? Second by Ken. Last call for comments. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you both very much.
Folks, have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Good luck with the projects. Next item on the agenda, Salina First LLC.
Okay.
We are joined. Emmanuel Henderson, Salina First. Morning, Emmanuel Henderson.
Morning, good
Thank
morning.
you for joining us.
No problem.
Do you want me to introduce the item and then what I can do
Right,
is
so
turn it
we'll
over
have
to...
Eric go first and give a quick update, and then we'll ask you to come up. Is that good? Okay, thanks.
I'll make sure there's there. You can give more context, Timo,
Right.
based on anything I share. So, so the item before you would be to have the board take the initial first step of authorizing a public hearing for consideration of what ultimately will be changes to the Salina First LLC project. As the board may recall, this project initially was approved initially and considered by the board, really dating back to 2017, on property that was owned by the IDA and ultimately sold and transferred to the developer. Over that course of the time, the project has undergone design, planning work has gone through review and consideration of the project, and ultimately there was an initial request which involved mortgage recording, sales tax abatement, and pilot for this project. Since that time, a number of different elements have led to the project experiencing delays. That was this was one of the examples of a project significantly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. also has faced headwinds with wages, certainly inflationary costs and other increases due to construction and development. But certainly, the project team has been working closely with SIDA staff, with city staff, in order to be able to still advance the project. One of the things that also has changed as the landscape in the market, particularly for residential housing, has continued to, there's a significant demand and need. The project has actually converted some commercial office space into additional residential units. So what was a 24-unit project when it was being considered by this body is now a 32-unit project. So they were able to add an additional 8 units by converting that space. So the consideration today and what is on the agenda before you would be to authorize a public hearing in order for the project to be considered and hold that public hearing for changes to those benefits, something that we can talk about in more detail as we hold this at a future meeting, but also would directly have conversations about the pilot and the fact that action would be needed to be taken related to that as well, which the project applicant is already aware of as well. We are joined this morning by Emmanuel Henderson, a representative on behalf of Salina First LLC. So Emmanuel will be able to share additional context beyond what I was able to provide and certainly answer any questions. But so just a reminder, this is to initially authorize that public hearing, and then that public hearing to discuss the project in even more detail would be held at a future meeting.
Well, we need, Emo's going to give us if you have any questions, let's start there.
Right, so where would you like me to start the design of the project, of, what it's consisting of? Basically, we were going to do a light manufacturing and residential commercial use space because of the economics. Now, we want to start the phase 1, which is the residential, to get that off the ground, and then we'll worry about the light manufacturing space later. We wanted to increase the residential units because of the housing shortage, not just on the south side, but all around. And that made more sense for us to do it this way. So we had to change the design and different things in that nature. So this is where we are right now. We did have a pilot, as Eric explained, but we're coming back to the board for the tax incentives, mortgages, and all of that right now. So this is where we are. We want to move forward. Like you said, we're just requesting for a public hearing to go forward.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Questions?
Question.
Do you still plan to move your company down there?
Yes.
Questions, comments, concerns? Oh, there's their motion. Let's have a public hearing. Thank you very much. Second by Ricky. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. I'll note that public hearing, we hope, will be scheduled at our April board meeting. We may, in response to some schedule problems, move that meeting from April 15th to April 22nd. However, we'll know that in the next week, and I will notify everybody as soon as we have that date solidified. We need an executive session, so is there any further business on this agenda? If not, is there a motion for the board to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing
Property disposition.
property disposition? Motion by Ken. Second by Ricky. All in favor? Aye. There will be no further action except for a motion to adjourn by this board when we return from executive session. Thank you, Emo. We'll see you soon. Okay, let's follow suit.
I'll just throw it on the 22nd. I have
At 8 o'clock in the morning? 9. We'll be done by
Okay. Oh, jeez.
Probably will be here on the 22nd.
they do these things like a year.
Yeah, they do. Steve, 9 a.m.
And I'm not.
There it is.
So do we just need a motion to
There being
adjourn?
no further business of the IDA today, I would accept a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Ken, second by Ricky. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.